My name's James, so I'm the CEO and co-founder of the ASO Co. As I'm sure you can probably imagine, we are an App Store optimization agency. We've been doing this for some time, so I like to think that we know a fair amount. So I'm going to be running the panel, and I think just to kick it off, I think maybe some intros. So Becky?
Yeah, I'm Becky Peterson, and I work for Walgreens. I do SEO and App Store optimization. I've worked there for about 4 years right now, and yeah, that's who I am.
I'm Eric White. I'm in charge of marketing for the Ebates app, both the acquisition, retention, product marketing piece, as well as of course, ASO. Been there for about a couple years. Just a show of hands, I always like to ask this question: how many people have heard of Ebates?
Wow.
Wow, pretty high number. How many people have heard of Walgreens? Okay.
There you go.
So close. So
The ASO Co?
oh, there's one in the back.
Yeah, that's my co-founder. Hi, Tom.
And for just real quick, for those who don't know, Ebates is a cashback shopping app where you will navigate to the app and from there go to all the favorite stores you shop at or apps like Amazon or eBay, and then from there kind of make a purchase, and then you earn cash back in the form of the commission that merchant pays us. That's Ebates.
There we go. Excellent. So today's actually quite interesting for me. So we've got two what I would consider very different businesses. So Walgreens is clearly a humongous brand and has lots of retail stores, while Ebates is obviously a pure play, doing and offering lots of different things. So we've kind of got the performance element and then what I believe to be more of a brand story. So I think just to kick it off, I think it'd be really interesting, Becky, if you can give us just a kind of an idea of what you've been doing with regards to ASO and kind of what your focus has been as such a big brand.
Yeah. So initially, ASO wasn't prioritized for a while. We just kind of had our product marketing team was updating the App Store, updating screenshots, updating copy without really data behind it and no measurement whatsoever. It was based on releases. And so we found a gap there and we decided, hey, we need some help with actually implementing an ASO strategy. And so that's where I come in. I was on the SEO team, so I partnered with the mobile marketing team, and we created a strategy and we outlined a testing plan where we utilized Google Play experiments. And in Google Play experiments, we were able to test basically all the page elements on Google Play on our store listing. So that included our copy, our screenshots, video, etc. And so ever since then, it's kind of been taken off the plate of the product team and moved over to the marketing side. And so yeah, I've been doing ASO for about 2 years now, and since then, it's been a process to evangelize it within the organization, but we're making some headway.
Great. And so with regards to tests, yeah. Any strong results? So,
kind of hard to say. We not really. We unfortunately we've tested a lot of different things. We've tested, for example, we tested with our copy paragraph form versus bullet form. We didn't see a whole lot there. We tested the order of our screenshots, and we tested the background colors of our screenshots, and we really weren't moving the needle that much. And that's kind of when we came to the conclusion, hey, people know the Walgreens brand. They're likely searching for Walgreens in the App Store if they want to find Walgreens. So now our strategy has become more, we want to be found wherever the user is searching for us. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of become our App Store strategy.
So Eric, other side of the fence, as many keywords as you can possibly find, I guess.
Pretty much. We, I mean, as you know, we treat ASO and Ebates as we would any other acquisition channel. I mean, I can tell you it's by far the highest driver of organic installs and quality installs versus any of our paid channels. So at our company, we put a strong emphasis on that. And when I say treat that like other acquisition channels, I mean we're constantly testing. Every 4 to 6 weeks, we're testing our screenshots, in some cases our icon, our featured graphic, as well as all the other metadata in the App Store, such as title, which has a huge impact for where you rank keyword-wise for iOS, subtitle as well. So really, we've put a lot of emphasis on that because we've seen the results. You can improve so drastically and get so much more bang for your buck than you would on a paid channel.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's been really interesting, so obviously when they introduced iOS 11, all of a sudden there was a few more moving parts. So I mean, have you specifically tested anything in, like you mentioned, the subtitle, promo text? So have you actually done any isolated tests where you've actually seen movement?
We have. So for the promo text, so for everything I can see, Apple doesn't index the keywords in your promo text. However, promo text is something you could customize at any time. You don't have to wait until a release occurs to change that. So one thing we tried with our promo text was, what if we can elevate top merchants on eBay, such as Amazon or eBay or Groupon, that happen to have very high cashback rates and offer a lot of money back from the start. What if we could actually test that and see if that's going to get us a higher conversion rate? And we tested a variety of different store names and kind of found our sweet spot that we know certain stores will lead to users who come to the page better converting.
Great.
And then I'd say secondarily too, on a title front, we've tested anything from like online coupons to shopping versus kind of like you guys, no actual text at all after the company name, and we've seen huge lifts, like talking like 10-15% in terms of organic lift as a result of these elements.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think on the other thing that we've seen as well, from a visibility standpoint, great, but just from a conversion standpoint as well, just being able to do a kind of pre and post and just saying something different, while it doesn't affect ranks, the actual conversion rate has gone up. So yeah, absolutely, thoroughly recommend. The other thing which, again, changed quite a bit with iOS 11, we will talk about Google Play as well, is the introduction of not just 3 videos, but I think specifically localizing. So you guys, I noticed that you've actually got 3 videos, so you're maxing out videos.
Yes.
So why?
So how it started as we had one video, and then with the release of iOS 11, we wanted to take advantage of the extra space. We had a minute-long video. We noticed that users weren't watching it all the way through, and so we decided to create shorter business unit-specific videos, and that's we still have our 1 minute long video up in Google Play, but we see that the shorter videos are working better in the App Store.
Nice. Mr. White?
So for us, I think, so we're international, but our kind of main tenants are Canada, US, and Korea. So when we first started coming up with the concept of videos, we just thought like, let's elevate and explain the different features that don't always exist across all our countries via the video. So that was kind of the first thing we did. And while we couldn't run tests really that's showing is it better to have a video or not have a video, we did see higher conversion rates across the board when we introduced a video. And for eBay, it's again, I can explain it to you guys here, and I think it's easy to understand, but if you're not familiar with the term Ebates or don't know what the functionality is, we found that like having the video kind of helping explain how it works and what it is had a positive effect on conversion rate.
Right.
Great, good.
Right.
The other area I wanted to just touch on was, again, because it's nice to have well, I mean, you're both big brands, just more around brand management. So this is something that's come up time and time again. Reviews clearly are a massive factor in this, and I still go into the App Store and I don't see people either take advantage of what's being said in reviews or even responding. So I mean, as businesses, are you taking advantage of that, or how are you looking at that?
Yeah, we are. We just recently got our customer care team on board, and so now they are responding and monitoring the sentiment behind all the app reviews that we're getting in. We tend to see a huge influx around around release time, which is, I'm sure, the case with most apps. And so we make the effort to respond, and in any way that we can help the customer right then. If it's a technical issue, we'll try to help them right then. If it's more of a generalized Walgreens complaint, we'll make sure that it goes to the right team. And so we can't necessarily quantify the effect that's having yet, but we know that, you know, inherently responding to reviews is a good thing. It's showing users that are coming into the App Store that we care about their feedback. We're taking it into account, and that's even how we've found out about different issues in the app when a release occurs. And so if we're getting a bunch of complaints about, you know, X, Y, and Z, I can't refill my prescriptions all of a sudden, then we might do a patch release.
Interesting. Are you doing much with the reviews?
Yeah, what she said.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part, no, we are. We take them extremely seriously. We have our social and customer service team responding. We have different email aliases set up to reference to make sure they get to the right people, whether it's a product issue or it's a customer service issue. Additionally, what we do on the Google Play Store, which we could quantify a little bit, is if, let's say, there is a technical issue or something with the app, our customer care team or our social team will actually go back to those customers and ask them to change their review from 1 star to more stars if they've been fixed. And surprisingly, most people are amenable to that. So it actually does help reduce the amount of negative reviews you have, because as you know, reviews are taken into account extremely strongly for both Google and iOS. So it's extremely important to have, you know, as many positive reviews as possible.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea, something that we should be capitalizing on.
There you go, you learned something new.
Yeah, yeah.
Another thing which we do, which we found really interesting, is we actually, so you can run sentiment analysis for any product. It doesn't just have to be yours. So actually looking at your competitors' reviews is actually a great source of information as well. So not just like what people don't like about the business, or if there's a specific function that people love, then looking at that, feeding back to the product team and those sorts of things. So yeah, really interesting.
I'd add to that, James, too, one other thing that has worked for us really well is certainly you can't control what people write on the App Store. It's based on their own experience, but within our app, with our in-app messages, we're now like prompting users for reviews after they get paid, right? So when you get a push notification saying, hey, I earned $7.50 at Sephora, in your next session, when you open the app, you're gonna actually be prompted for a review. So kind of asking for reviews in a contextual fashion can positively influence the reviews a user get at the stores.
That's insanely important. I mean, just pushing someone to do a review just because they've had the app for 24 hours is just a big no-no. So actually we call them aha moments. So when someone's like, aha, that's when we should push them, which we find works really well. I think another thing that I really wanted to bring up, I think mainly because I imagine that both of you probably have a fair amount of web traffic. So Becca, I'll go to you first. So are you capitalizing on that to get installs?
Yes, so we recently did a complete optimization of our mobile landing pages. We have one for the photo site and then one for our regular Walgreens site, and we include the video that we created for the App Stores on there. That's where we see most of our traffic coming from to the App Store. And so that's one piece of the whole puzzle. So yes, we do get a lot of web traffic that way, and it's important for us to kind of continue to optimize for that, because like I was kind of saying before, Walgreens customers are the ones that are searching for the app. We tend to see that it's mostly branded search. It's mostly already Walgreens customers, and not so much somebody stumbling across Walgreens and saying, oh, I didn't know that Walgreens had an app, or, you know, I need a photo print, so here's Walgreens. That's not always the case. So yes, we definitely capitalize on that.
Say for us, similar. So on mobile web specifically, we're very aggressive with testing our Smart Banner tool. We want anyone, or at least I want anyone who's on our mobile website to install the app. So you want to, kind of like I said about reviews, you want that to be contextual. What I mean by that is if you land on the site for the first time, you don't want to be bombarded by a Smart Banner that says, like, get the app, get the app. You haven't had a chance yet to really see what it's about. So we segment all our mobile banners based on kind of things like number of visits, have they purchased or not, have they shopped or not. So then when from that knowledge, you can make a hypothesis as to, what they want to see with a smart banner. So if I know you've already made a purchase and understand Ebates, I can serve up a large smart banner asking you to install the app. On desktop, not nearly as much. We're in the process of kind of overhauling a lot of our website to really, again, contextually tell users to get the app via, a text-to-app field. But both are extremely important because when you're on the website, that you're a qualified user. You have an interest in Ebates for whatever reason. So let's capitalize that and ask for them to get the app when it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So Becky, I think another really interesting part of your background is that you've done a lot of SEO. I know that historically that's kind of been a big focus on yours. So can you harness that for ASO?
So we started to, at the beginning, it was all about keywords and how can we maximize on non-brand terms. And we did what we could there. We included all the keywords that we could contextually throughout our description and in the metadata, but we find there's only so much that we can do. And just like SEO, it can take a long time. Even though the algorithms are different between the App Store and Google, it's still kind of in its infancy stage. It takes a while to rank, and so we find that non-brand has become kind of lower priority on our roadmap, and so we really capitalize on branded terms, and then we also do search ads for non-brand terms.
Yeah, and actually, the one thing that you mentioned to me just before we came on, which I thought was really quite fascinating, was just optimizing mobile web and then driving to the App Store.
Yes.
I mean, that's an absolute no-brainer, basically.
Yeah.
And especially, I know that Google obviously prioritizing mobile web now, so that for me would be a really good way of driving installs.
Right. Whenever you can take a mobile user and a mobile web user and convert them into the app user, that's key.
Yeah. So it's been mentioned a few times today, and I wanted to bring it up. So Apple search ads, very hot topic. We as a business have been running a lot of them and playing with it a lot. I think there's a huge amounts of benefits, actually, if done correctly. Eric, I know that you're obviously quite heavily involved in it. So any experience with regards to how Apple Search Ads has affected ASO?
Yeah, so I think I can't tell you definitively. I can only speak to kind of what we've done at Ebates, but it seemed for a while, to be that certain keywords we were bidding on search ads, the more we were spending and the better we were doing, that seemed to impact where we ranked organically. So for a 6-week period, we actually ran a test in which we just varied our search ad spend drastically. And also based on the keywords, we'd spend 10,000 one week, nothing the next week, 15 the next week, just to really get a sense. And kind of our conclusion was it has a drastic impact, like anywhere from the high single digits to the teens in terms of organic uplift you'll see as a result of search ads. So, I mean, again, like in the search ads terms we do the best at are the ones that are most relevant. It's kind of similar to on the organic front. So Apple will tell you there's, they're totally separate things. I asked my Apple reps, it has nothing to do with search ads. However, we've seen that there is a correlation between the two of those.
Okay. And the other thing that I wanted to just touch on quickly is A/B testing, as Becky mentioned before, on Google Experiments has been around for a long time. And doing it on Apple, there are various platforms, but obviously now it's available as part of search ads. So have you explored that at all?
We're just starting to, actually. I'm super excited for it because what was happening before, Apple pulls into their search ads just whatever screenshots you have on the App Store. For ours right now, we're not featuring travel. So for a travel keyword, if you were searching for, let's say, cheap flights on the App Store, and then you saw our screenshots, you're going to be like, is Ebates actually relevant to that? It actually is. We have tons of hotels and flights. So what we're excited about on the creative testing front is actually kind of making category-specific App Store screenshots. Apple lets you upload up to 10 screenshots. So if you're a user bidding on a beauty term or a travel term, that will enable us to actually show a screenshot that's relevant to that term. So we're just kind of starting the test right now, but I feel like it has to have an impact just based on common sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think just to add to that as well, so I think there's been a lot of benefits with Apple search ads, but I think just for anyone who's actually running it, I think one of the negative sides is organic cannibalization, and that's one thing that we've had to keep a close eye on, because a lot of the time you will pay for your own install that you would have previously got anyway. So I guess that's been one of the things that we've been trying to monitor.
How do you handle that? Like if a client asks you, like, how much should I be bidding on my own branded terms? How do you frame that conversation? What do you suggest?
So we just test it. So we will have a certain period where we will have brand term on and brand term off. And then we will basically look at the effects on organics. So what usually happens is you turn brand term on, and organics will dip, because while there are lots of keywords in the App Store, your brand term and brand terms are still some of the biggest ones. So inevitably, if you are essentially eating your own cake, it's going to dip. So we just have to do tests to see just how much it's having an effect on the business. But yeah, it's Apple's genius. It's just pay for your own installs. Like, okay, everyone's like, okay, yeah, we'll just do it. Okay, where are we at now? Oh yes, okay. This is an interesting one, and I think it's relevant for both big businesses and small businesses. So ASO, as far as we're concerned, is now a proper thing. I know it's been around for a long time, and there's been a lot of people in the space. But I think for most businesses who are focused on mobile, you can't ignore it. But one of the challenges that we've found with some businesses is that either they still struggle to get the budget, or it's just trying to go and evangelize it within the business. So Walgreens is massive, right? I can imagine you've got lots of different teams. So has that been a challenge, or how have you got around that?
Yeah, so initially, like I was saying before, it was the product team that had taken it on, and it was a pretty easy sell to them for me to come in and say, hey, I kind of want to take over this. Having said that, it has been a challenge to kind of prove out, hey, this is actually doing something for us. And even when we're running these tests and we're not moving the needle, we're learning from that. And we're actually monitoring now, as opposed to just, updating here and there, and there's no strategy. So now there's a testing strategy. We're keeping up to date on all the new updates with iOS 11. As you were saying, we can now add 10 screenshots. When they announced that we could have 3 videos, we capitalized on that. And so, it has been difficult trying to kind of evangelize it within the organization. But once we've had some big wins, like as soon as we started responding to reviews, and as soon as the app videos came out and we started promoting them on social, on .com and email, that's kind of when we started to get some traction within the organization.
Right. And is it similar for you, or is the team a bit smaller, or?
The team is smaller, so that was certainly a benefit when I started at Ebates. Actually, when I started at Ebates, the first thing I did was really develop an ASO strategy, because the big reason was we were entering Q4, all this pressure to kind of hit numbers, and we were given a budget, but we achieved a lot of organic growth as a result of just people seeing us on TV or using our web products. So I knew the biggest possible impact we could have would be on the ASO side. So kind of partnering actually with James's company ASO and developing a strategy.
There it is.
Plug for James. It led to a massive increase in organic installs kind of right away. And then from there we kind of had a baseline where we could kind of iterate on that. And kind of same comment, what I mentioned from the beginning, treating it like an acquisition channel. We have pretty in-depth metrics to look at now based on, Apple gives you insight into how are people discovering your app and installing. Is it based on being featured? Is it based on referring from another app, or is it based on App Store search? So if you could quantify that and then share that with someone, that shows the benefit right there.
I think just to add to that as well, I think what's been particularly interesting with you guys is that because it's been quite a long time, we've kind of moved away from just optimizing everything, and now it's really fine-tuning and looking at seasonality and all those isolated tests, which I think with businesses first starting out in ASO, it's a little bit harder to do, because you want to change everything, you want to get as much growth. But actually, I think once you're solid and you've got good ranks, literally it's like a car engine. You're just tuning and just constantly optimizing and improving conversion or whatever that might be. On the kind of measurement side, so finally we've actually got some decent data from Apple and Google actually. So looking at users from search and those sorts of things. So are you capitalizing on that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. When we look at our full funnel now, we actually ingest all the iTunes Connect data and all our Google Play data into our database, so we could actually just help get a sense of the funnel and getting a sense of like where we're getting installs from. Also, it'll tell you, if your app of the day, for example, which we wore last Black Friday, and our CEO says how much impact does that have, we could actually see here's the lift we saw as a result of that. Yeah. When it comes to specific keywords, we can get data that shows us where we rank for certain high volume keywords that are relevant to shopping and to Ebates. And that's really, really helpful to actually see that, and then to actually show, okay, as a result of those keywords, here's the lift you're seeing. We could see that when App Store browse goes up, we know we must be getting more or ranking higher in organic keywords, and it's good to give visibility onto that.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Do you I mean, given the size of Walgreens, do you struggle to measure?
Yes. Short answer, yes.
Yeah.
We struggle to measure. It's very difficult. We have kind of siloed teams as well. So I'm on the SEO team, and then we have a mobile marketing team, and they're capitalizing right now on search ads. And so that's kind of where our metrics are taking us, or what we're monitoring for. So if we're getting a lot of traffic from the website, okay, so what can we do in the app stores to boost rankings there? And so that's kind of similar to what he was saying.
Right. I have no idea how much time we've got, because that timer's not on. I'm assuming we're still good. Yeah, okay, cool. Another thing that I wanted to cover was actually more on the creative side, actually. So I think creative, for us as a business, I think we always knew it was important, but I don't think we fully understood the extent to how important it actually is. In fact, with some businesses, we don't even look at metadata, so we just look at conversion optimization. And I guess that's probably the same with both of you, actually. So have you made any like specific changes where you've seen specific uptick, or is there anything specific that's worked better than something else, or anything like that? Or Eric,
You can go. You take this one first.
Well, with our screenshots, we found that initially, for a while, we had screenshots that were kind of all over the place. Some of them were showing the shell, and some of them weren't, and the messaging was kind of all over the place. And so as soon as we were able to kind of synchronize them across, then we saw an uptick. So that's probably the biggest creative uptick that we saw.
Nice.
We've seen similar stuff as well. I mean, I'd say, especially with iOS 11, kind of changed the experience. Like having a lot of copy on the screenshots, you can't see that at all, right? You got to go huge fonts. But so we've seen some uptick there with some of that testing. Another big thing for us was the app icon. A lot of people may not know you can change your app icon whenever you want to, and we'll change that based on seasonality and other factors. And seemingly little stuff like for the holidays, adding a little snow around Ebates, you'll see massive upticks actually in installs there.
That's something we should be capitalizing on as well.
And that's always a touchy subject too, because kind of back to your question about branding and whatnot, like what happens if you change like the E from yellow to black? Like is that against branding? And again, having results to show that actually changing that gets us more business and more data, that makes it okay, even if it's not our actual branding color or whatnot.
Right. We kind of, to that point, we have some red tape. Walgreens is an old business, and so there's only so much that we can do creatively. Okay. So,
And what about, so obviously the two stores are very different, as we know. So do you focus on anything specifically in Google Play that you wouldn't do in Apple, for instance?
Yeah, I mean, I think the feature graphic is kind of a no-brainer for us. We've had mixed success testing that. We have seen, though, because with Google Play, you can change out your creative whenever you want to. You don't have to wait for a release. When we have like a triple cashback event, or we have a Black Friday sale, actually changing the creative to speak to that, like, 20% cashback at Store A, or, coupons here or whatnot, we have had some wins there. And that's obviously something that Apple doesn't have. So
Yeah.
I would encourage everyone here to test that. It's super easy to do through Google Experiments.
Yeah.
And you can actually see real uptick in installs.
Although our times are changing, so I'm sure many of you have seen.
That's going to squadoosh, yeah.
Yeah, the feature graphic is disappearing from Google Play. So historically, we optimized screenshots, but we didn't really care that much about them on Google Play because they disappeared. And actually, Dave, who spoke before, made a really good point around iOS and click-through rates on the search, which is really important. And that's, I think, having the right strategy for each platform is incredibly important. Yeah? Keep going? Okay, well, I'm going to open it up. So I think we've literally got 1 minute left. So does anyone have any questions at all? So I hate this phrase, the year of mobile. I really hate it because it's been the year of mobile for the last 10 years. But this year, like, what do you think is going to be the biggest change in mobile marketing, do you say?
Specific to ASO or?
No, I think just in general. So I mean, like, for example, like influencer marketing has become big. So I mean, and ad networks, have kind of shrunk. So what do you think is going to happen this year?
It's a good question. I mean, I think on the paid side, as a couple folks spoke to earlier, like just the influx of video, right? When I started a couple years ago, we were doing mostly static. Now we're doing almost everything video, right? So the influx of that, testing different video networks and whatnot. Playables are becoming big outside the gaming space, and I've seen a huge uptick in that on the shopping space as well. So kind of on the paid side, leveraging a lot of those kind of networks using video creative will be big for us.
Yeah, nice. And Becky, I know that you're not in the mobile marketing team, are you? Yeah. So well, you can answer the question if you want. No.
I don't have too much to share on that.
Great. All right. Well, thank you very much. Cheers.